I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, and I'm located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Monroe, Washington. And welcome to Wheel Talk. Yo, yo, yiggity, yo. So, thanks for listening to our podcast. Today, we have a little special podcast today because we go over a ton of numbers about the cost of our mugs and the cost of our materials. So if you're not interested in numbers, go ahead and skip to probably around 44 minutes in the podcast and you'll get to the part that you'll probably want to listen to. But also, as a side note, this might just be my favorite podcast yet, just because it does go over some of the numbers, but then we have a pretty good discussion at the end. I hope you guys like it. Thanks.
Started.
Okay. Okay.
Hi, we're live.
Alrighty. We're live. Ryan, how was your day?
It was very busy, and I had a very full dinner.
That's good.
I don't know what's the best way to... So I've been away at a conference for work in Raleigh, North Carolina all week. I kind of just finished the conference, so I've been away from clay for about 3 or 4 days. So been kind of deep in the work sphere. But we did talk about some clay stuff. I talked about my small business and stuff like that with a more tech person today from the conference, which was really neat to talk to. And she actually she was talking about really enjoying making like tamales for fun for family and friends and how she's had to learn to price that and stuff for people, which was really interesting.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
How about you?
I feel like every time we're gonna have a podcast, my day has been total crap.
Well, when it's Wednesday, there's a good chance that your day has been not as beneficial or successful from what you've told me.
Yeah, my Wednesdays are a little weird. So today was okay. It could have been better. I woke up late, but I got a glaze firing in, and that was a wholesale order that I'm really excited to get out the door on Monday. So that was good, and I shipped off some things. So I'm focusing on the things that I did manage to do. This week has been kind of weird because I didn't have to actually make a bunch of stuff for Leavenworth because I had a bunch of stuff. So
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that just means I'll be behind next week, which is
I was going to say, but are you still doing a little bit so you're not playing complete catch up? You're getting a little
Absolutely
ahead?
not. Who do you think I am?
No. You're
no,
like, it's Wednesday. We're on the slide down to Friday when I leave Friday morning. So I'm actually going to try to get some sleep tomorrow so I don't...
We'll see. I think I'm going to try and get a bunch done tomorrow. So I think I can maybe get some mugs and some wine glasses done tomorrow.
I mean, does it help to make some things and leave them in damp shelves or damp boxes or whatever over the weekend so that you're kind of getting started? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it'll be good. Anyway, so yeah, okay. That was how our days were. So today we are going to break down cost, product analysis, how much your product is worth. So here's my idea. We haven't really talked about this a ton beforehand, but a little bit. I think that we should take the cost of our mugs and break that down.
Okay.
And we'll kind of go over all of the stuff that we have. And Ryan, we're using a lot of Ryan's data and some of mine too. But, well, I have all my data as well. But he's a little bit more.
I was going to say, you were more prepared than I was. I was just doing this before we met. So imagine that.
I'm more prepared because I'm always doing this. But he has credit card receipts, and I don't.
Oh.
No.
You're prepared because you do it enough that you have estimates that you do because you do it enough. Okay.
But you never know. We could totally surprise ourselves. So, and you have different numbers than I do because your clay cost is different, and I'm sure your glaze cost is different. So, yes. Cool. So let's start. So, first, let's talk about... Okay, first I want to talk about what you would want to be paid per hour of...
Oh, gosh.
world.
I'm going to say $35 an hour.
Okay. That's mine too.
Honestly, I just made that up, so.
Oh, that's good.
I just said 35 because that's what I get paid to teach at Baker Hunt. So.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty good. Okay. And then clay. So you and me were just going over. Ryan just bought 2,000 pounds of clay. And
2,000 pounds is 40 boxes. I paid $830 about for those 40 boxes. So we take 2,000 divided by 40. We get whatever that is. So that's the cost per box. I want to say it's $21 and some change. Mm-hmm. And then we divide that by 50 because there's 50 pounds per box because you get 2 bags of 25. And we get to about 41 cents per pound.
Yes. And he said that wrong, but it's $8.28 divided by 40 divided by 50.
Oh, I'm sorry.
2,000, but
yeah,
you get a pass. Okay, and so mine, I just called, I called my supplier and they were like, oh, it's 35 cents a pound. And I'm like, oh, okay. They had to do the math to find out how much it was per bag. They just go down to per pound immediately, which is nice, I suppose. Yeah, so mine's $8.82 a bag.
$8.82 a bag. Wow.
Yeah. So,
dang.
Ryan, how much clay do you use per mug?
On average, my mugs are, let's say, 1 pound. I want to say that the majority of them are 1 pound.
We don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Me too. So we don't have to change that. Now let's talk about glaze. I have price per pound. I mix all my glazes, but because we're kind of doing a cost analysis and it's hard to calculate glaze cost. Ryan's done it, but it's hard to calculate glaze cost. I always just kind of like estimate it. And so I called and they said that the glaze that I get, the one glaze that I get that's pre-mixed by them is $3.70 per pound. Okay, and what about you?
Okay, I just have like the total like price for the whole batch of 10,000 grams, so which is 22 pounds. Do you want the per pound price?
Give me the total for the batch.
Okay, so the total for the batch is on average about $25 if it's a batch that I mix myself.
If it's a batch that you mix yourself, and it's $25 divided by 22 pounds.
Yes.
So it's like $1.13 a pound. Ooh, this is good. So if you're buying your clay, and my average would probably be about the same as yours as far as how much it is. So this is good. If you're buying your clay at a clay store and you're buying it per pound or per 25 pounds, that's a per 25 pound bag, that's $3.70. If you are mixing, like Ryan does, and what I do too, that's $1.13 a pound. That's 3 times less.
Right. Also, there's not a number factored into the mixing because I've had my studio assistants mixing it lately, so there's actually a number in there that's not factored in. That's just the material cost.
Right.
So we'll say that finished batch, everything done is an extra, let's say 1 hour. So $12 extra. So
$12, okay.
So $37 for a batch with labor.
Okay, so we will change that from 25 to 37. And that is $1.68 per pound.
If you want a comparison as well because that is one glaze that I mix myself, and if you want a second glaze that I buy, I just started buying Inferno Red from Kentucky Mudworks, and that is, looking at the cost on their website, I want to say it's $73 plus tax for a 10-pound bag, and you would need 2 of those to get a whole batch that I pay $25 for. So you're paying $100 upwards of $150 for the same bucket of their glaze.
146 divided by 20. That is $7.30 per pound. Now, you could probably get a fair amount of mugs out of each pound of glaze.
I've heard on average, if you say it's a 5-gallon bucket, you're getting 100 pieces glazed out of it. That's the number I've heard.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah, and about a 25-pound bag of glaze from Clay Art Center gets about 100 pieces. So for mine, if mine's getting 100 pieces per 5-pound bag, then I've got 3.70 divided by 100.
You said per 5-pound bag?
25-pound bag.
25-pound, yeah.
So that's 3 cents. No, it's 4 cents actually. 4 cents a cup.
And that's your cost per mug for the
mug.
glaze. Okay.
Yep. So my cost per mug for clay is 35 cents, and my cost per mug for glaze, well, we'll say it's actually not it's not 4 cents. It's probably like 7 because I do 2 different glazes. So even though I mix most of the other glazes, but we'll just round up. So 7 cents. And yours is 1.68 divided by 100. And do you do 1 or 2 glazes on? Usually 2, right?
We'll say 1 inside and 1 outside, so it's usually only 1 glaze.
Adds up to 1.
On the whole thing, yeah.
Okay. That's 1 cent. No, 2 cents. It's 2 cents because you have to round up.
Right.
So
2 cents in glaze, 41
2
cents
cents in glaze.
41 cents for the clay. Yes.
Okay. So how long, Ryan, does it take you to make the base of the mug?
Oh gosh.
We'll
say 3 minutes. That's
3
easy.
minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And how long does it take you to make the handle?
The handle, 5 minutes.
Okay. Trim?
I would probably say, we'll say 1 minute. I don't trim it, but cleaning up the bottom with my thumb is trimming, so 1 minute.
Okay, and then how long does it take you to unload and load the kilns? Like, for each mug, do you think, like, would it take, like, a minute to unload and load for each mug?
Yes.
Okay. And how long to glaze? Wax and glaze.
We'll say 2 minutes, or
2 minutes.
2 minutes is fine. Yeah.
2 minutes, and then unload the kiln again. Okay, so your total time in a mug is about 12 minutes. I would say you want to add maybe 2 minutes to that, or 3 minutes.
We'll just say
like
15 minutes. Yeah.
So 15 minutes. So if we have $35 an hour and you're 15 minutes into one mug, then you are gonna do 35 divided by 60 times, well, it's a fourth essentially, so it's actually just 35 divided by 4. But yeah, so you are $8.75 in time to that mug.
$8 in time.
So, $8. Well, $8.75.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So for me, it takes me 2 minutes to throw a mug on the high end. It takes me about 2 minutes to handle it.
Is that including the time that you pull all of your handles, though? You pull your handles in batches, you're only spending 2 minutes time
per handle?
Pulling, attaching, all that stuff?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. That's pretty good.
About 2 minutes to pull and attach a handle, yes.
Nice. I didn't realize it was that quick.
Not all of them, obviously.
I know.
But like...
Yeah.
But one, yeah.
Nice.
It probably takes me... Well, okay, maybe we'll add in a minute because I've been doing... I've been extruding all the handles and then cutting them, so...
Yeah.
We'll do 3 minutes per handle.
That's what I was thinking. I thought you prepped them and then you had a whole batch of them and then you attached them, refined them. Yeah.
Okay, so we're at 6 minutes, and then it takes me probably about a minute to load per mug, and then about 2 minutes to glaze. And we'll do 3 because I'm always lazy when I glaze. So we're at 10 minutes.
Do you wax mugs or you do not wax mugs?
I added that into my glaze. Yeah,
okay.
I do wax. But nice. It's quick. So that was the 3rd minute. Okay, so we're 10 minutes in. So 35 divided by 6. Okay. So it cost me $5.83 to throw a mug. It costs you $8.75. These are mugs too. Keep in mind, if we're throwing wine glasses or bowls or anything like that, it's a different time because like I don't have to trim a wine glass. I don't have to, I don't have to do all the things that I normally would do for a mug, so that's something that you have to keep in mind as well. Okay, so just with glazed clay and our time, it is... I love Excel, by the way.
I'm glad you're keeping track of this on your side.
This is interesting. Very interesting, actually. So, Ryan's cost per mug is $9.18. Okay?
$9.19?
And my cost, 18 cents. And my cost per mug is $6.25.
And then do we need to add firing costs to that?
Yes. So, I forgot that part. Firing costs. Well, okay. How much does it cost for you to fire? This is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it is. I would say $7 is a good estimate for me.
Yeah.
$7 for a kiln load.
How many pieces can you put in that kiln?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that's hard.
How many mugs could you put in?
That's hard. I don't know. Is a good estimate like 100 in a 23 by 23? Are you talking about
the baby kiln?
The big kiln. 100. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It's different because you can load more in a bisque kiln than you could a glaze kiln.
Well, let's just do glaze.
Okay.
Oh, we have to do both, I suppose. Yeah. So, okay. So we're gonna say it probably costs with both glazes. It probably costs double $7, right? So $14.
Yes.
Right.
14.
Same with me. I'm probably maybe a little bit higher. I would say my cost for glaze is like, I think it's like $9 actually. 7 or 9, but I have a higher wattage kiln. So mine's probably, we'll do $18 for 2 firings, and yours is $14 for 2 firings. And we'll say that you can put 100 pieces in yours.
That's the thing. I don't honestly know a good guess for that number.
Okay.
Do you have a similar size kiln that's 23 by 23?
No, mine's 28 by 28, I think.
That's your Scud kiln?
I'd say that, yeah, I was just going to do it with the Scud. I use my bigger kiln for most of my stuff, but
yeah, the math would be harder to figure out the big kiln.
Yeah. The big kiln, you can fit so much shit in that. Okay, so I think, this isn't like we're all stumped. I think that yours would probably, for mugs, I can fit about 30 mugs on one shelf, and I can fit. And
that's probably pretty realistic, and I've got 3 shelves.
Because your mugs are skinnier than mine. Mine are fat. So 30 mugs, and I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelves. So I can fit 150 mugs in mine.
Okay, so maybe my estimate should be about 120.
Okay.
Let's say that.
And we're actually going to go, I'm going to go, yeah. So 120 times 2, right? Though, because it's a bisque and a glaze.
I don't know. I mean, I could like tumble stack a bisque kiln and probably fit around that.
No, we're just going to assume that it's 120 because it's already going to be a really low number.
Okay, let's just say 120. So, that's fine.
Okay, so it's 14 divided by 240. Oops. Which I should have just done 7 divided by 120. But okay, it's 5 cents per cup. No, 6 cents, sorry, round up. And then 18 divided by 30. So mine is 6 cents per cup, which makes no sense. I guess it costs a little bit more, but I
because it costs you because it costs you more, but you have more pieces.
Right, exactly. So we're at the same cost. So ours is 6 cents because yours is 0.058, so 6 cents rounded up. So 6 cents per mug.
Yes.
And we'll add that in to our costs. And the final cost of a mug with our time, firing costs, clay cost, glaze cost is, drumroll, Ryan's is $9.24, and mine is $6.85. So,
I thought you said $6.25 before that, before the firing.
Oh, I think I lied to you. It's 60 cents a mug for the firing. What?
Oh,
that makes no sense.
You said 6 cents for me, and yours is 60 cents?
Yeah. That also makes no sense at all. Let me do it again. Let me make sure. Oh, that's why. Okay, mine's 6 cents too. Okay, we're good.
So $6.31.
$6.31.
Okay.
Good catch. Go team. I accidentally forgot to put the 0 after the 30. Okay. So, how much do you sell your mugs for, Ryan?
That typical mug would sell for $28.
Okay, so $28 minus that is $18.75 or 76 cents.
Yes.
That is your cost per, that's your profit per mug base without selling.
Without selling anything? What do you mean without selling anything?
Like without going to a show and adding all those costs.
Adding the expense to it, yes.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so in my profit, this is interesting.
You would typically sell yours for
$23.
$23, okay.
$23, and my profit is $16.69.
$16.69.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're about
my cost
$2
is
difference.
lower, but my profit is lower. Your cost is higher, but your profit is higher. So clearly, you're a better business person than I am. But I can make more. So.
But also, you probably spend less time packing, and that back end of it is probably less time. Well, actually, it might not be, because you drive for those shows. If we're talking shows, you drive 2 hours or whatever it is. You spend gas.
Yeah, but I drive 3 hours total.
Round trip.
For a 3-day show.
Okay. And you also probably spend less time packing your vehicle and unpacking your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I also, my time per mug is, my time per mug is 10 minutes as opposed to your time per mug, which is 15 minutes, which means that if
you can create,
I can make 6 in an hour, like 6 total in an hour, as opposed to you making 4 total in an hour. So
value wise, I have 4 times $28 in 1 hour, and you have 23 times 6 in an hour.
Yeah. But really, you don't even have to. It's mostly your profit that you.
Yeah, if you want to do that.
For some reason, my thingy is not working. So 16.69 times 6. And oh, 1876
times 4.
It's like times 4.
Drum roll, please.
So in an hour, I've made $100.14, and you have made $75.04. Ladies and gentlemen, production.
Nice.
So that's okay, and I feel like a ton of people always kind of poo-poo on production potters and why they sell for a lesser cost.
But also,
and this is why.
But also, what's your, you know, when you come back from a show, how much of that stock is sold? So, like, how much are you actually bringing home from that? If you scale that out to, like, 10 hours and you've made X number of pieces valued at this amount, when you come home, how much value do you bring home with you in product? Kind of thing.
Right. Like, if you don't sell enough, is it worth it?
Yeah. Are you keeping up with the demand for it, or are you outpacing the demand? That kind of thing factors in. Yeah.
Right.
There's
I'm pretty even.
There's an endless number of factors here that could.
I feel like this is interesting, kind of how we're breaking this down, because I've never done it like this, and I've never done it compared to anybody else, and I feel like you and me are pretty comparable. I obviously do this all day, every day, and you don't, but you probably work more than me anyway, because you're, have more energy than me right now, but, it's like, it doesn't matter how fast you work if you don't sell anything, right?
Yeah, you just know the upfront costs and the value that you have sitting on your shelves. The back end of this is how much are you getting out of or off your shelves and selling.
Right.
And how is that side of it?
Totally. And, you can have wholesale too. Like I have wholesale, so when I look at that number, the $6.31, that's really appealing to me because that means when I am selling a mug to a wholesale client, which by the way I'm selling that for $11, I'm almost doubling my cost. So I'm still making $6 off of that mug or $5 off of that mug. And making $5 on a mug, if you're making 50 of them, which take a lot less time usually because you're doing it so quick, that's pretty awesome.
And that's like the truest form of this calculation that we can get to because there's no additional expense to it,
right?
Except for the packaging, I guess. If you have to pack it and ship it or take it somewhere, that's the only additional expense and time.
Yeah, and if you're like driving it somewhere, you're typically doing a delivery fee, or you're charging, like I'll charge for shipping down to California when I have to ship out like 36 mugs.
Do you have a shipping and handling fee? So you add $1 per or something, or a percentage per because you're spending time packaging?
We spend like no time at all packaging, honestly. It's actually, we've gotten it down to a really big science. Ironically, I was packing up a bunch of stuff today and I got a bunch of bubble wrap for free. And I was like packing all these bowls in bubble wrap and I was cussing the entire time. I was like, I don't understand how people can pack in bubble wrap. I'm so happy that I pack with cardboard. But the packing is so quick, and one roll of corrugated cardboard is $6 from Uline, and I don't even go through a roll when I pack up stuff. So I would say that my packing cost.
What's this roll? Is it like it's like a 6-inch wide corrugated cardboard, and it's like 4 foot tall or something like that?
They're probably about 2.5 feet wide, rolled up. So I want to say they're maybe like 100 to 200 feet, 250 feet. And it's $6, and I have a 4-inch one and a 6-inch one, and they're about the same cost. And I can actually look it up really quick. But and then the box costs 50 cents. And so that, and then you add tape, which is nothing. You use probably 10 inches of the corrugated cardboard per mug per size. So
yeah, so we can carry this all out the same for shipping and break it down to what goes into actually shipping a mug. What are the costs for the box and the materials and the time? If we're doing, are you still valued at $35 an hour for the same type of work? Or do you pay someone to do that?
Right. So it costs $8.20 for a 4 by 250 foot roll, and $10.40 for a 6 by 250 foot roll. And I use one like 10-inch length that is 6 inches, and then one 10-inch length that is 4 inches. And so, yeah, so that's really, really cost effective. And then we use recycled peanuts if we can, and put them in a box that costs 55 cents because it's 14 inches or 20 inches. And then, and then ship it out. So I bet you my cost for shipping is, I don't know, probably like $5, like $7 maybe.
Materials.
Materials, which if they pay for shipping, I could care less about the materials, honestly. I can lose $5. But especially because they're going to keep ordering, they're a repeat customer, so that part doesn't even matter to me. Yeah. Now, so we were talking a couple weeks ago about wholesale, but also consignment, and also shows, and how shows really add up to about like 50% of what your, the 50% that you are kind of... I totally lost my train of thought. Okay, so we were talking about how shows kind of add up to that. Shows kind of add up to that 50% of cost that you would lose within wholesale. What are your thoughts about that?
So you're saying, like taking it somewhere, or the legwork that goes into getting it out the door is that difference there that you completely remove for wholesale, and that's kind of what you're cutting out.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay. Yeah, we'd have to go into our own little tangent about the show costs and like what goes into that, the time spent, the booth fee, the effort, the loading the car, the gas, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's just talk about, not the gas or anything, but let's just talk about the time spent at a show for you. Like your last show, how much was that to be in? Do you remember?
The show that I had this past weekend, it was $45 to be in it. No application no application fee. That was the booth fee.
That's awesome. Okay. And how long were you there?
You'd have to include the setup the day before and the day of.
Yeah.
Let's say an hour the day before and a 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
10 hours.
Yeah.
So 11 hours total?
11 hours total.
Okay, cool. How much did you make?
The total, including all taxes and everything, was $1,000 and $1,052.
Okay. So $1,052. Okay, so you, in time, you had $385 spent in time at the show.
Okay.
And so just for the show, without even like what a mug cost or anything like that, you profited $712.
What was the profit?
In order to $712, if you're paying yourself $35 an hour.
Okay.
I feel like Ryan's shows are a lot more comparable than my shows. My shows are very uncomparable to like most human artists.
A typical show.
So, yeah.
And there's also a portion of that money that is not just going to me. It's going to Kelty at Kodaco, because we split a profit on some of the items that I sell. So,
okay.
If you want to go into that, we sold 12 items that a part of it goes to them because they provide either work, labor, or the physical part of the item that people buy. So these are the plants and hangers, planters with macrame hangers, and we are splitting the profit on an item that is bought, the macrame and the plant with the succulent in there. In the planter, it is $32 that those sell for full price. We split it 50%. So 7 of those sold at $16 a piece, and the math on that is $112.
So you're giving Kodaco $112?
$112. And then there's also, if the planters sell by themselves with their labor to plant them and buy the plants, we give them $6 for a $22 plant with planter. So they get $6 and sold 5 of them, so that's $30. So in total, they are getting $142.
Okay, and I did the math wrong before because it accidentally added the $45. So $1,052 minus $385, which is how much you're quote unquote paying yourself an hour, minus $45, which is what you paid to be there, minus the $120 plus $30, which is $150, or $112 plus $30, which is $142.
Yes.
Your total profits come out to $480. That is not including the cost of the mugs that you sold.
The material cost.
The material cost of the mugs that you sold. So, if you really wanted to get down and dirty with this, you would have to figure out how many mugs that you sold, and then
I can give you those numbers, but it's not going to be just mugs.
Yeah. We could potentially do a ratio.
You can just look at... I can tell you the total income from mugs.
Let's do that.
It's not going to be the 1,000, but,
Right.
Okay. So...
How many mugs did you sell?
Give me a second.
No, not prepared. This is fun.
Of course I'm not prepared.
I don't know if it's fun for anybody else, but it's fun for me.
All right, mugs total $256 for 8 mugs.
Okay, so you sold 8 mugs. All right. Okay,
And that's actually not the average mug cost. If you do that cost on that for 8 mugs at $256, it's probably not going to be $28. It looks like it's going to be higher than that looking at the ones that sold.
Okay. Well,
so if you want to look at that.
Regardless. I don't. Okay, so your total profit, which is $1,052 minus $385, which is his pay, minus $45, which is what he paid to be there, minus $142, which is what he's giving Codeco, minus $924 multiplied by 8 is $406. I hope they did that right.
I don't know the last part you said. How you got to the 406 from the 480 before.
I have to do it in parentheses. I feel like I'm going back to 8th grade math.
I thought you were just going to...
It is 406. It's okay. $406 is your total cost, or is your total profit, minus the mugs that you made. Not minus anything else, but minus just the mugs that you made. He's looking at me like I'm freaking crazy.
Okay, I get what you're saying. You took the cost of those 8 mugs and just did 8 times $9.24, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I thought you were just going to take the cost of the mugs and then figure out the material cost and then subtract $256 from that, and you could see what the total profit was on the 8 mugs. It would probably be more than $18.76. It would probably be more than that because because it looks like on average the mugs were probably in the mid-30s range.
Nice.
Because of the type of mugs I sold. They were not just my standard mugs.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I feel like this was a lot of information.
Very mathy.
It was very mathy. Super mathy. I think that we should definitely... I'll take a screenshot of this, and I wonder if we could put it on, the notes or something. Because it'd be kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, I think we would probably have to link to one of our respective websites or something if we need to
Yeah.
if I need to create a blog post that is associated with it that just kind of gives a short description of what we talked about, and then this is the actual numbers and breakdown and how we got to it, kind of thing, what the numbers represent. Because listening to this audio wise, it might be a little bit too much.
Yeah. Well, I think it was good to do anyway, and it will be interesting to see the response of everybody. You guys should all kind of comment and tell us what you think, because this is stuff that me and Ryan both like to do, but I'm not sure everybody else likes to hear it.
I mean, that was the first time I actually calculated the cost and time and stuff that went into a mug. So it's probably good for me to do it. But
yeah, I would say I've always calculated the time, and versus how much I want to be paid. And I would say, if you're starting out and if you want to see if you can succeed, to take this sort of a formula and apply it to your products, because I mean, like, I don't always do all the numbers before I sell something to make sure that the price that I'm selling it at is appropriate to the cost. I think that some items are just a feel items, or a what is the market telling you what it should be worth kind of items. But
yes,
it's always good to see how fast you're working and how much you're actually making.
If the time that you're putting into some parts of your process are worth it, and are they being priced appropriately? Are they being overpriced? Mm-hmm. Are you, each of those steps involves your time, and if you're paying yourself $40 an hour, or if you're paying yourself $15 an hour, and you scale that for something that takes a lot of time, maybe ultimately you're charging like $60 for this thing that you're paying yourself $15 an hour for, and you're really underpricing it, but it could be because you're not paying yourself enough. You don't, value your time enough, or you're not understanding how much time it's actually taking you and what that means in relation to what your time is worth, or something like that.
Yeah. And while we're doing this, we're obviously not including, the price that you bought your wheel at, the price that you pay your rent at, the price that you pay your mortgage at. There's a whole heck of a lot more costs that you can add into an analysis to see really what the base of your cost is. Because, Ryan works in his basement, and they live in their house, so they would already live in their house without without your studio, right?
Right.
They're, you'd have to live in the house. I don't have a house. And I pay $1,800 for my studio, which is my cost to run my business. And so, I wouldn't necessarily add in Ryan's mortgage, because that's not necessary to your clay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take a fraction of it, if you want to take a square footage of that in relation to the whole residence, which is kind of what we do for tax purposes, to take, I want to say it's part of the business office kind of deduction sort of thing.
Yeah. But
then that's kind of how you would factor it in, but yeah.
My entire studio is factored into my cost of one mug, So
yes.
So if I really wanted to see how much profit I was making, I would have to see how many mugs I'd make in a month, and then, get all the costs from that, and then add in that $1,800 and see if I was only using my studio to produce mugs. But I don't. I use it to sell things and to have classes. So there's a lot of different costs. But, that's if you're in a studio that you pay a certain amount a month for, that's something that can be added into your costs. I mean, if you want to make a really in-depth cost analysis, you can see how many mugs you make in a month and do it that way. And
if you work out of a, did you just say rent for like a community studio spot? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, like rent for a community studio spot, or even rent for like a shed that you built or whatever,
Yeah. And then if you're traveling to a community studio, like that time is valued at a certain amount because you're taking time to get there, to get back. That part of it's real too. And then there's probably more gas that's involved in that if you have to go there 15 times a month or something like that.
Exactly.
Like the gas is going to have an impact at that point.
Yeah. I think that we as artists and potters and people and business people don't always, we don't always see that everything we do has a cost. And, I don't. I'm like, whatever, it's fine. Like that, me driving across the street or driving down to Tacoma Clay Art Center that's 45 miles an hour, like 45 miles away. That's just my Monday routine. Like, it doesn't cost me anything, but yeah, it cost me 5 hours of time, and it cost me probably, 4 gallons of gas, and depending on which car I'm driving, and it does cost money, and that you have to be smart about that if you're going to start a business. And I think that's why most business people actually are really good about hiring out help.
Or forking over that money to have the clay delivered. It might be like $200 to deliver it, but is the savings in time and effort and your gas and all that kind of thing? You're paying for convenience and stuff like that. Yeah. It may be worth it to you to not have to worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
And it gets placed in the exact spot you want it.
Yeah, I'll eventually get my clay delivered from Tacoma, but I've got to get it delivered in like 4,000 pounds. Because I'm like right outside their delivery zone. just a touch.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you really have to kind of think about that and think about how that's affecting your work life and cost too, so.
Yeah, and not everybody has to do this formula to determine their cost. It's just a way to understand and get a better full picture of what you're looking at. Once you decide it's more business and you're trying to make a profit and pay bills and stuff like that, you need to have a better understanding of this. When you're just hobbyist and starting to sell and you're trying to determine a price. I don't know. Like, I didn't go to this detail to determine my price. I did it based on what I thought was a good starting point, where they're like, you should charge at a minimum $18 for a mug. And then, from there, add on, what you think based on in relation to like other people that are similar skill set or have been selling similar time frame or quality or, yeah, it's hard. And then I started at like $24 like 2 years ago.
Right.
And that was kind of my base price. And then I did all the prices of other pieces around it in relation to that kind of middle ground bread and butter price of a mug. And that's kind of where I determined. And then I kind of went the supply and demand route where, if things are sitting on the shelf a lot more and I price my bowls at $22, they sat around a lot and I needed to lower my price. So like, don't feel you're pigeonholed into that price because people are going to be like, I bought that at $22 and you're selling it for $16. What's up with that?
Totally.
You could just be honest with them and say, hey, I'm learning what the price I can sell it at is. And like the market is going to tell me what that price is going to be if you want to do it that way.
Totally. This last weekend, a really good example of that, the other way, is this last weekend, this lady was like, I made a bunch of these tiny, like 3-inch plates for planters. and I just hand pressed them in foam, just did hand built ones. And I know they're going to be really cheap, like super cheap, because they take no time at all. And so she's like, "How much is that?" And I was like, that's $2. And then she was like, "Okay, cool." Or like, I think I said maybe $3 or something like that. And then I was like, "And after you, it will be 4." Because once I told her the price, I was like, that's way too low. Because once I told her that price, I was like, okay, I'm going to be selling these wholesale. Like, I need to sell them for $2 wholesale and $4 retail. And so, yeah, anyway, that's what happened this weekend. Stupid pricing moments by Becca. I also am notorious for pricing my things way too low.
Yeah.
So, I can't help it. I just come from a really cheap family.
Yeah, and some of it's like, what am I willing... It's hard to determine that because you're like, what am I willing to spend on it? But that's not necessarily what you need to be... You're not the one buying your stuff. There's not thousands of you out there exactly identical people that are the same mentality price-wise and what they're willing to spend money on and how they value something handmade. And especially you kind of get desensitized to it because you make it all the time. That skill set that you have kind of seems dulled a little bit. Do you have that feeling like,
I know.
Oh, it's easy for me, like, or do you still highly value your skill and you realize that it's a hard thing to learn and have?
Yeah. Sometimes I look at my pieces or anything actually, and like I just get this like overwhelming feeling when I'm like looking at a mug on a wheel, and I don't know, I just like look at that and I'm like, holy shit. Like I made that. Like I made that, and there's only like 1,000 people in this world, or 2,000 or whatever. I don't know how many potters there are in the world, but like there's only a certain amount of people in the world that can make something to that specification, Like somebody will walk into my studio and I'm pulling a handle and they're like, "Oh my gosh, is that how you put a handle on a mug?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Like,
right.
How freaking insane is that? Like, did you think about when you were like growing up as a little kid? You're like, I'm gonna put handles on mugs. Like, no. Like handles are the weirdest thing to me because making a mug, like a cup or whatever, that's whatever. But when you put a handle on it, that's like, I don't know. I just think of like I'm a little teapot, and I think about Beauty and the Beast, and I think about all the cups and mugs that have been made in the history of the world, and you're involved in that, and I just think that's kind of crazy. So I can't remember the exact question, but that's what the answer is.
It was about, are you desensitized and devaluing the amount of skill that you have for your profession and like what you work on, and that it's a finite group of people that have this skill and this ability.
Yeah.
And people spend their time doing whatever they want. They can dig their hours, and every week, they have however many hours that they're not sleeping and they're not working, and we're spending that time dedicated to this one task and this one skill, which takes multiple skills because you're not just painting or whatever. You're not just doing one thing.
10 years.
Yeah.
There's one skill in 10 years of my life,
right.
In your life. Yeah. Wouldn't it suck to like be 10 years in and like invested 10 years in and then be like, I hate this? Like, I'm done.
You just hit that roadblock where you're like, this is the last mug I've ever gonna make. What does that mug look like?
What does that mug look like?
Like, can I buy that mug?
On the floor.
This is the last mug you have ever made.
The last mug that I've ever made or I'll ever make is gonna be a mug that flew off of my wheel and landed on the floor, and I'm gonna be like, screw this, I'm done. And it'll be like a flattened mug. Uh,
I mean, just think of the numbers. Like, how many mugs do you make every month, every year, over the 10 years you've been making? Like, we're talking thousands of mugs. It sounds ridiculous that we have hundreds and thousands of potters working in this medium, making thousands of things every year.
yeah.
And, like, over your lifetime, how many mugs are you going to make? And, like, there's never enough. There's always demand for it. It's crazy.
In 10 years, I can guarantee you that I've made more than 10,000 mugs. Or more than 10,000 items, not mugs, but items.
Yeah.
I mean, last year I made 700 things in a week. So I don't think that... I was starting to
Yeah.
calculate and and I totally forgot about it. I just
I was like,
just went over my head.
how's you keeping track of that? Those
I
numbers.
forgot about it. You should have reminded me. Oh, well,
I
this
can't
week
keep
has been
on
a
you
bad
every day
production
with
week.
social. Hey, you
I'm
need to
kidding.
do your daily log.
Do your daily log. I should put a thingy on there on my reminder. But yeah, I can 100% guarantee you that I've made more than 10,000 pieces. Which is kind of insane.
Yes, it is. The amount of dedication, skill, like refinement, like just seeing the volume can be seen like year to year. Look at like a booth, your booth from 1 year prior to that same day, like seeing those reminders in Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and just looking, it's oh my gosh, the growth. Like, what is it going to look like a year from now? That progression and that growth that you can get just from, and they just add up, just one day at a time, just like 4 hours at a time in the studio. Like, they add up.
They totally do. It's insane. It's insane. We do insane things. Okay.
All right, we should wrap up.
We should probably wrap up this
I feel like the last 25 minutes were more valuable. So for all the non-math people, I hope you got some value from the last 25 minutes that were just candid and
just talking
100%
about
us. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Maybe we split this up and go bonus episode for the math part, and then...
Yeah. Maybe we should switch it. I'll put the back end on the front end and the front end on the back end.
Or we just split them up and just make them my 2 separate mini episodes or something, and they're bonus.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a good day.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Later.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to follow me or Ryan, you can follow us on our Instagrams. My Instagram is 5 Lines Pottery Studio. It's the number 5. And his Instagram is at RD Ceramics. That's R as in Ryan, D as in Durban, Ceramics. And we would love for you to follow us, but we would also love it if you gave us a review on whichever platform that you're listening on, and if you tell your friends. We really enjoy doing this, and we hope that we can do it some more and have some great conversations. Thanks!